Happy Wednesday. What is that? I'm just shiny. I'm just shiny as can be because I don't wear makeup during the day. Nobody sees me. Why should I put dirt on my face? If you like makeup, I don't mean it that way. It's just, I clog the pores if you don't need to. Anyway. So, lost you for a second. So I am 4 months post my first SSP experience. It's hard to believe it's been 4 months. And I don't regret it at all. I would definitely do it again. I might still do it again. Because you can do it, I think, every 3 to 6 months, maybe. I mean, I think the more you space it apart, I don't know. I guess it depends on you. But the SSP is like, I see it kind of like as a starting point. It makes room in your head for you to build more tools to just deal with life and stress and whatever has caused your PTSD, or if you have ADD, whatever, like, it just calms you down, makes the room in your head. So I am dealing with PTSD. They may think there's some ADHD in there, but until they clear all the trauma out, which God knows how long that's going to take, they want to focus on the PTSD stuff because the PTSD can cause a lot of the same symptoms as ADHD. So I'm not a hyper person, but I have a hyper brain. So it's been interesting. So the past 3 months in particular, I have been working on cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure therapy, and I started EMDR 3 weeks ago. The EMDR has been rough and exhausting. I'm terrible at what the letters stand for. It's eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, I think. EMDR. So I just had my 3rd session last Saturday. I'll have my 4th session this coming Saturday. How does that work? Well, they use bilateral stimulation. So either eye movement from side to side. Some people do tapping, they have vibrating. My body is very sound sensitive. I think that's why SSP worked so well for me. Like, my ears are like the gateway to everything for me. I love sound. And it's super sensitive, and your ears are connected to your vagus nerve. So, that has worked well for me. I almost listen to a click track that like bounces back and forth in my ears while I go through EMDR. And you pretty much, take one traumatic event at a time and go through it and break it down and reprocess it in your brain without the negative, crazy emotions attached to it. So it stays in the past and it doesn't keep popping up in your future. That's as best as I can explain it today. The first session was really about an introduction to it. Each session's like an hour long. So the first session I went to was kind of an introduction to it, and then they create like your happy, safe place that you go to. When you pull this stuff up and process it, like, you take one event at a time. And I think the most events I've done in any session would be 3. And I will say that you like feel okay after you leave the sessions. It's hard to go through all of those emotions and memories while you're there. And sometimes it'll take you on a journey because you will think that this one event caused this feeling for you. But as you're listening to the clicks or following, the light. Yeah, they got like a light that bounces back and forth side to side. They have like little vibrators that you hold in your hand, which will alternate between your left and right hand. But while you're thinking of these, I don't know how the science works. But it's super interesting. I should read more up on it so I can share more, because I haven't had the time. I'm working and living. I got kids in sports. It's crazy. So, sorry. So I go, like, the therapist, it's not my regular therapist either. My regular therapist is not trained in EMDR. So I see my regular therapist on Thursday, and then Megan for EMDR on Saturday. She's very nice. She's very calming. They had a couple other people there that they're I don't want to say their bedside manner, but they're like, it wasn't right for me. So yeah, the first session we did, finding my happy, safe place, which is good, all good. Left that session like feeling really good. I felt good for like 2 or 3 days afterwards, just good. And then because they use the bilateral stimulation while you find your safe place too, so it's cool. The second session, that one, I think the couple experiences or memories that I processed during that one were very cut and dry. And I felt like I was able to look at the situation, what happened, and look at how personally I took it and how emotional it made me. I'll tell you, so one of the examples is, so I've been in this lawsuit with a family member for a very long time. And one of the memories I have of him is when I would work for him, he would call me in his office and ask me what my plans were. Like, what are your plans 3 years out, 5 years out? So it's very tricky when you're in a situation like that, because so here's a person who's my boss, but also like a person who is a role model, an adult in my family personal world, who prior to this, I would say always wanted the best for me and wanted me to be happy. So when I went into his office, I didn't realize this at the time. So this is, I said what I wanted to do, and he told me that I would never fucking be that. I should just realize where I am. Like, pretty much that I would never fucking be anything, and that I should get used to where I am now. Like, this is where you're gonna be. And that was, like, so devastating to me, because, like, my parents don't talk to me like that. Nobody has ever talked to me like that. It was very, taken aback. And I remember walking out of his office, and his secretary was, like, just apologizing to me over and over again. And she was, like, in tears. She's like, what is wrong with him? And it was so gross. But it's there. Like, I remember this, whatever. But taking that memory and then, going through the EMDR, and at the end, I'm like, well, the only reason he said that is because I didn't say what he wanted me to say. He wanted me to stay and put my efforts into his project, and I wasn't going to. So, like, I never looked at it that way until the EMDR. So it, like, reprocessed the stuff. It makes sense, makes it logical, and then takes a lot of the emotion and stress out of it. So I had, that to me is very black and white. Like, it's processed, I get it. This is how I see that now. It's no longer like he was being mean to me. He was being mean for his own selfish reasons. Anyway, so last week, I have these lack of motivation tendencies all the time, where I just don't start things, I don't finish things, like, I don't understand it. And it's a feeling I get when I go in there. So I did some research online, and you can start with feelings, that you don't have to have like a visual memory to it. And this entire 1 hour session was pretty much spent on this one, my feeling, and figuring out where it came from. This feeling was so stacked between my personal life, my work, competing against other people in dance and in the corporate world, just like, holy shit. And like, relationships. I mean, I literally went through like 20 years of crap in an hour. That was on Saturday. If this is how I was yesterday, I will plug that video here. I'll be right back. I feel like shit today. My coat is so dirty. Anyway, oh, my husband just said so crabby this morning. I love you. Good, because I was feeling really shitty. Last night was not good. It is April 18th. It's a Tuesday. And so it's been like 4 months since I did SSP. And I have been going to therapy twice a week, doing exposure therapy, like cognitive therapy. I forget, cognitive behavior, I don't know, CBT, I don't know. Going through a lot of stuff. Like, I want to be well, and I want to be well fast, and apparently it doesn't work that way. So I have days, especially while doing EMDR, which is eye movement, eye movement, desensitization, reprocessing, something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look at I get the letters all confused of all the things. But like, there are days when I just feel like absolute shit, like depressed and really sad. And like, it's not like a journey where this healing journey is not like always going uphill. Like, I'll go up and then I'll be like, dip down. And today's one of those days. Like, I'm just splotchy. I could like burst into tears at any minute. It's great. And I'm pretty sure I fell asleep on my husband yesterday, which is why he's so angry at me this morning. It was not good. I was tired and I took some sinus medication. I was out. I was not coming back. But I have more to tell you. I just not at this exact minute, because they feel like I might cry. And Julie's texting me. You know, when your universe, the good people in your universe just know when to like, pat you on the head, give you a hug. So Julie's texting me. So I will talk to you later. Bye. So I have pretty much been a hot, fucking depressed mess this week. Just processing all that shit and going through like piece by piece, like relationship by relationship, that has just it is messed up. Should have dealt with it when it happened. Like, seriously, I should have dealt with it when it happened. I didn't know. I didn't have the tools or the skills. Did I mention that me posting these videos is part of my therapy? Like, I had no desire to share this with people, really. But that's a story for a different day. So, like, your videos aren't very, like, they are what they are. You get my whatever effort I feel like putting into it. The whole problem is with me is I just have to post it and make it public, and my therapist is happy. So that's what you get. So SSP has led me to these different behaviors to get my life back to where I want it to be. So you ever feel like your medical worlds just don't connect? Like, you have your physician, I have a physician, I have a therapist, right? And then, so I feel like one deals with my mental, the other deals with my body. But they really need to work together. Like, they need to. And what I'm finding out with PTSD is the feelings and weirdness that I have in my body. How do you explain this? So, the post-traumatic stress, like the stuff in my body, is not the trauma. It is the leftover stress reaction from the event. If that makes sense? So there's like nothing traumatic going on inside of me. There is like, my body is very highly sensitive to stress and sound and a whole bunch of other things. I'm just nutty, but it's okay. So I will say, like, between 2008, so all this crazy stuff. I think my uncle said that nasty stuff to me back in like 2002 or 2003. After he started doing that stuff to me because I wasn't doing what he wanted, I actually picked another career path and was in the process of leaving. And when I didn't tell my dad, I didn't know how to tell my dad any of the stuff that was going on at the time. It was his brother. It was very weird. But, like, I had a plan and I was gonna leave and I didn't know how to tell my dad, but my mom told him because, you know, mothers don't know when to keep their mouths shut. Well, I don't know. Like, I think I would have been much happier to just leave the situation altogether, but my dad got involved and he was beyond furious. He ended their 34-year partnership within, I say, like a 4-hour screaming match. That's when, like, lawsuits started, fighting started, like bullying, harassment, death threats, for years and years. Okay, this started in 2008. It's still going on now in 2023. I will say in the last like 18 months, maybe since the summer of 2021, the contact and all that is much less, and there's more people involved as the splitting of the stuff gets like smaller and smaller. But like, I'm still being harassed. My dad's still being harassed. It's stupid shit. Like, just because there's court orders and orders of protection and all that stuff doesn't stop the person from doing what they're doing. And like, all those years of all those events happening, I mean, sometimes they would happen like 10 times a day, you know, like, it was fucked up. And like, all those like that, like, nervous, that adrenaline rush, that stress from being just like all the stuff, I think when it happens to you once in a while and you can make sense of it is one thing, but when you have somebody who just like relentlessly is a fucking asshole that you can't get rid of because they just won't go away, like, all of those, like, every little incident is in my body somewhere, because I never went through anything like this. I don't know how to process that. I mean, I pretty much shut down. I stopped talking to people that we knew in common, because it was just like, if I hung out with somebody that he was also friends with, it was like he would literally harass that person and make them pick a side. It's like, dude, you're like 50 some years old. Stop, you know, but he couldn't. And then like, people were just getting hurt, and I just stopped. And I feel bad because I, like, this summer, I have 2 people that I cut out that I didn't want to cut out. I really didn't. And I have to make amends to those people. So I'm going to go do that here. I'm in June, but I have to travel to do it because I don't want to do it over the phone. So I will handle that. But going through all this, like, realizing that it's in my body, it's not something that is easily released. I did meet another person who also has PTSD similar to mine, who's like an acquaintance of mine on Facebook, and she shared a book called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And that, sorry, my phone keeps turning off. So I picked up that book in February, and I have read probably the entire book twice, but I think it's part 5, which is the healing part. I've probably read 5 or 6 times by now. And the way, like, I have to learn how to process what comes in now and then process what's in there to get it out. And it's the getting out part that is really complicated, because it's like, hormones and fat and nervous patterns and like, ugh, it's so much stuff that it requires a lot of what I will call from this point forward, like body work. So I have a lot of body work to do. I have to connect, like be fully connected to my body again, which I don't even remember. Actually, I would say the last time I was fully connected to my body was when I was pregnant. Because when you do childbirth and you don't take drugs, yeah, you all gotta like, it's all gotta be together. And I actually did like a lot of meditation, did the Bradley method, breathing, hypnobirthing. Like I learned all this stuff because I was determined to not have a C-section and be back to work on Monday, which I was. Well, Tuesday, because it was Memorial Day weekend. I was crazy. I don't know. I was building my business back then. I had so much and going through this shit. And back then, like my daughter was born in the thick of it. Like in 2012 was like months when she was born was like months before our trial. So I was going through discovery and depositions. I mean, it was not like the best time to be pregnant. But I will say that doing all that body work and stuff while I was pregnant, taking all those classes, I think helped a lot with the stress from the other stuff. Because I don't really, I remember it being exhausting and being angry that I was having to go through that while I was pregnant, but I don't remember it being, I'll say that was probably one of the happier times, even though my world was kind of falling apart around me. But no. So in doing this body work, since last summer, I feel like I'm losing the same 10 pounds over and over again. And now that I know, like, kind of understanding how all this stuff is stored in my body and where it's stored, and how, like, all these stress hormones, like the cortisol and adrenaline, like, all of that stuff gets stored in your, like, the leftover crap, I'll call it, gets stored in your liver and then is, like, released when the liver has time, because the liver is a very busy thing. It's like the busiest organ in your body. It controls your temperature and the minerals and oxygen levels. It controls so much, right? If you've never, like, what's a good liver book? Like Liver Rescue. I know that guy, he talks to spirits, whatever, but the book is good. You should pick it up. Liver Rescue by Anthony William. I like it. I found it very interesting. Anyway, so, like, how does one relax your body and get it to release all this crap? That is where I'm headed next. I have to go to work, so I will save that for my next video. Oops, sorry. Yeah, so I will save that. And my phone keeps shutting it off. So I'm gonna go, and I will share that with you next. Have a good day. Bye.